Hey guys, this is Paul, and welcome back to another episode of The Mysterious Huntsman. And tonight I've got a special guest on from England, Cheshire. His name is William, and he is a researcher, and he's got some incredible Dogman encounters. And I'm excited to have him on. We've spoken before. William's a great guy and got a lot of great theories and a lot of really awesome encounters that you guys are going to enjoy hearing. So without further ado, let's bring on William. How are you doing over there, man?
Hi Paul, you okay, my mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's late over there for you, but early for me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
So, and I was just telling everyone, who you were and your location, and you've had a lot of incredible encounters and possibly have seemed to develop some type of rapport, I guess, with some of these. And if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started or into it, and then you can take it from there. And we'll just, and I'm sure I'll have a bunch of questions for you, but I'll just let you go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was around about 10 years of age with my grandparents, and we come across what we thought at the time was a cat, a panther. And years later, I'm hitting all the researchers, and I realised it wasn't. It was one of our canine cousins. And it just ran from there, really. Yeah, that's about it, really.
All right. And that was, what area was that? Was that in England as well?
Yeah, that was in Cheshire, northwest of England, in a place called Rivica. Yeah, it was extremely strange. I was really young, holding my granddad's hand. My nan's walking towards it. My granddad's screaming and shouting. And my nan's like in a trance, just walking towards it. I hardly remember it, really. But yeah, that was a while ago now, that.
Yeah. So, so fast forward, um, you actually had started having encounters of your own in a certain area, and it kind of turns you into sort of a researcher. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've always been drawn to them. I can't explain why. Um, I research a local area about an hour away from where I am now, and I've been hitting that area about 8, 9 months now. Once a month, I return with the breakfast in the morning. Have a look around, and you know, I'm getting used to them now, with their little traits and little trying to frighten me originally, just testing me really. I'm used to them now. Um, but all packs have all got all different personalities, all different traits, and if I am if I am in a new area, I get extremely anxious, but it sort of slows down after a while. But the new areas always put me on red alert. It's extremely weird.
Yeah, I imagine it's almost like the new kid in school, having to meet someone new for the first time. You're going to be nervous or until you figure out who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm walking out into their home, essentially into their house, and I'm creeping ground uninvited. And I mean, you turn it round. If you're relaxing in your house with your friend and you're watching the TV and a stranger just lets himself into your house, starts climbing over your couch, rooting through your fridge, I'm sure you'll have something to say pretty quick. So
Yeah.
why is it any different with these guys?
Yeah, makes sense to me, man. What was your
Yeah.
first what was your first real encounter though that that really set you on your path?
Well, it's an area local to here. Originally, I went in and I took a few pictures of the area. I was just a little bit uneasy. Something was happening. I couldn't put my finger on it. Something wasn't right. So I just started taking a few pictures. And then that night, I returned home and having a look through them. Lent a couple of them to a friend of mine, Mike, his name is. He's a good man. He's a researcher as well. A werewolf, Mike, his name is. And he returned a picture and he circled it and zoomed in, and my heart just dropped. I just automatically knew something was in the area. So a week later, I returned. I left them all a breakfast. Now knowing that I know that they're there, encounter after encounter of really calm, 25 degrees, no wind at all, no leaves twitching a muscle, and I get a leaf slap a yard away from me, and the entire branch just shakes. They're just testing me, having a look who I am. A few times in, I was walking out after relaxing there, journaling, all the usual stuff. And I decided to leave. It was a little bit quiet, and I had two of them escort me out of the area, and extremely kindly threw a rock about 80 yards from the tree line and landed about 20 yards to the left of my car with a huge doof on the ground. It really made me jump. Yeah.
Now, did you feel like they were threatening you, or just kind of marking their territory, letting you know they were there?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, as I was walking out, I originally heard one on the left, about 25 yards to my left, up a ridge about 20 yards up. It wasn't exactly in line with me. It was about 10 yards adrift of me. It was keeping pace with me, and another one to my rear, around about 100 yards, 80 yards. It was imitating all the noise this one was making on the left. It was almost copying him or her. I think it's a her. I'm not sure why, but I just have an inkling it's a she. Yeah, so I think that she has her first assignment, and it could possibly be me. I've walked in the area a few times, and they have picked up on me frequencies, me colours, me smells, and yeah, when I walk in the area, they all know I'm there already.
Yeah, and I guess, you and I were talking the other night. They don't feel threatened by you, so therefore, maybe they don't act aggressively toward you because of that. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Well, it's these guys have an awful lot of tools at their disposal, a lot more than us. And one of their tools is they can see in Pacific colours. Now, if you're having a walk around an area and they're there, and you're nice and calm and relaxed and happy and in a caring mood, you're on a happy frequency, you will more than likely have an encounter. If you've had an argument with your girlfriend or your wife or a close friend and you're fuming, and then 20 minutes later you're in the woods and you're walking around, your frequency is totally giving off a different colour to them, and they know what type of mood you're in before you do.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that before, not with these cryptids, but like I said, you and I were talking the other night about if we show up to a party, or we're in a gathering or social gathering or football game, whatever, you can almost sense tension in the room, right? So you can tell if someone's having a bad day before they even tell you, because of their demeanor, or their, we can blame it on lots of different things, but like you and I were talking about, I think it's on a vibrational scale. We can feel what, almost like everybody's a little bit of an empath. you know, and maybe that's what's going on, and they just have more heightened sense of that, and it may be something that they are super equipped with. Um, Maybe all animals are super equipped with it because they have to be more alert and more aware if there are hunters in the area, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all these guys are constantly out there on red alert all the time. I mean, can you imagine living in the middle of New York and everybody around you wants to kill you and wants to take something off you? And now reverse this round, and this is what all these guys are doing. It's all the humans are all running around with radios on, screaming and shouting, wheels spinning, shooting guns, taking land. And these guys are extremely aware of us. And I would say about 95% of every action they do that is evolved around people, unfortunately. And their home's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not fair on them.
Yeah. So you don't really think that? Well, let me ask you this: do you think these dogmen or werewolves? Do you think they're a threat?
They can be just like people.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These guys uh, are influenced with the same frequencies as people are. Exactly the same. They are no different to us in how their frequencies instruct them. They've just got slightly different tools than us and don't look like us, but every other thing acts the same. So it's you could be walking around and you could have an encounter, and you could have a nice encounter. It'll be just like awe-inspiring, and then you could run into the same one who's on a bad day, and you're going to have a terrible encounter. So these guys are just like us in a way, mate.
All right. And so, can you describe one, like, to an audience that maybe has never seen one or seen pictures, or maybe it's the first time the audience is hearing about Dogman? Can you describe what you have seen, or just give the best description that you can of what you've encountered and witnessed?
Well, uh, uh, it's hard, really. They are all different shapes and sizes. Some of them are really scruffy, slim and shaggy. Other ones are really fluffy, like they've just jumped out of a tumble dryer. It's really, they're all different colours. I have one up in the area that I've nicknamed Scrappy Doo off Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
He just looked, yeah, extremely brown, extremely fluffy, with like two white little stripes on either cheek under the jaw, and a black line from the top right down his nose, right down to his nostrils. We have another one who looks really old, really old, haggard. Um, he's an old timer. All his hair's um, like loose, all droopy. He's really grey. I've nicknamed him Orion Pax. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah. And these guys, they've never um, harmed you or anyone that you know in that area, or that you know of, I guess.
No, they've never harmed me in any way, shape, or form. That I'm aware of my own frequencies, and I mean that early on early encounters, I mean, my frequencies were jumping, my emotions were out of control. I couldn't control them. It was just dread. It was just all sorts of all these thoughts just hitting you. You freeze, you can't control. all these actions running through your head, all wanting answers, all at the same time, and you're just confused. You've only got so much energy, and once you've used it all in a certain amount of time, you freeze. You can't think. You can't get answers from yourself, and you just freeze on the spot. But after a while, you can control your emotions and get used to them. If you're in there with your machines and your cameras, all camouflage, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of kits, hiding them around trees and all this, you might as well have a radio on full blast in the middle of the woods. I'm not joking. It has its own frequency, its own vibration, its own colour, its own sound. And these guys can see all these different dimensions. It's just not worth it. You might as well use your own frequencies, your own energies, control them and try and communicate with them on a calm level. A calm level.
Right. So, armed with all that knowledge, where do you think these things come from, or what do you think they are, or their origins?
Oh wow, that's a big question.
Probably the biggest.
I'm not sure. I'm
They
not sure.
they've been spoken about in old ancient texts. Um, you mentioned Anubis earlier, the Egyptology. They've kind of been around, and almost every culture has a dog-headed man or a wild man of the woods or a werewolf type being in their culture. So I know it's kind of hard to find an origin for these things, but I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
You've got all different types, my friend. If some of your guys out there believe in portals and jumping in and out of different realities, all dimensions, I mean, you've got them types of guys. You've got the little ones with the flat noses. They half look like a squatch and half look like a dogman, or you have the 8-foot guys, which are pretty slender but really tall, all the way up to the heavy hitters, the werewolves. And werewolves are not the same as our canine friends. They're a totally different entity than one's guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that next about those, and um, I know you guys are, or at least Europe in the medieval days had tons of reports of these things. I wondered how prevalent that those stories were in your area.
Yeah, we've got loads of old stories running back hundreds of years, hundreds and hundreds of years. We've also, we have a load around our area, around the Cheshire area. And a friend of mine told me of a police car. Right. A police car comes round the corner about 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, with this huge object in the middle of the road. And it slows down and stops, honks the horn, and no reaction. This thing is eating something in the middle of the road. And the police officer decides to just stroll the car up and just hit it, just a little nudge, have a look what it is. And it rose up on its hind legs, turned around, and the officers had to lean forward to look up at this creature, if you will. And it slammed its hands on the front of the car, and the rear end of the car lifted up. Now, do not ask me how I obtain this information. It's rife round ours, my friend, extremely rife.
Yeah. And when did that take place? Or is that pretty recent?
And I'm not sure. I'll have to ask my friend Mike about that. I would say quite recent, in the last 10 years, maybe 5 years. I can't remember what he said, but it was only round the corner, to be honest.
Yeah. And I doubt they put that on the news. They probably won't speak of it ever again.
Oh no, we've got certain organisations around here that have hard drives, and the hard drives are named after a certain name, and you've got officers around here that are just assigned to these guys and nothing else. That's all they're assigned to, and all they do is take pictures and make sure that they're in a specific area and they don't roam. And we've got police officers around here that is their job, and that's all their job is.
Really? So they're like on a special duty just to keep their eyes out for those things?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
ever, if you ever run across one of those guys, we'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
I doubt he, I doubt he'd come out in the open though.
And I'm not sure while he's still working there. I don't think he would, to be honest.
Well, so I know we spoke the other night about some of these things, and we kind of segued into other uh, other topics really about it because it seems like a lot of these things are connected. And I know England or London, the whole area, it's really big on. And I know you've heard about the big cats issue and maybe the hounds of the hellhounds and the moors, and you guys have a lot of different cryptids in that area.
Yes, we do. Yes, we have the cats, as you mentioned, just roaming round. I'm not even sure where they've come from. And maybe rich people in the 80s and the 70s, just getting all these animals, thinking that everything evolves around them. We can just snatch these animals out of their environment and just stick them in a cage in my living room, and my ego's fueled for the afternoon. So I reckon these creatures have either escaped or just been released, and then it's just rolled from there, really. I'm not too sure, but they are rife around here.
Yeah.
We had a kid near London. I can't remember when. He was actually walking up a street about 20 yards from his house in a council area with just concrete houses everywhere, and one grabbed him and wrapped his hands, his arms, his paws around this little kid and pinned him to the ground and started screaming. And all these men started running over, and this cat just sprinted off, and the lad had huge scratches over his mouth. And the vet said that this wasn't a normal cat. These scratches are too far apart. And he couldn't believe that it actually came into the town.
Wow. Hey, and I was going to ask you the other night, have you ever heard of, I have a friend over there named Andy McGrath. He's with, he does Beasts of Britain. He's a researcher also in the area, and he deals a lot with the big cats issue, but he does a lot with maybe Bigfoot type stuff, and he's really big into Nessie. You
All
haven't heard?
right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you mentioned him. I had a look on his friends list, had a look around who he was. I have come across him a couple of times. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you know of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious. We talked about this uh, months ago, but it seems like some of the stuff is, like I said, all connected. Typically, where you have some of the cryptid sightings, you will have odd lights or orbs in the sky or in the trees or in the forest, and sometimes you'll even have paranormal activity in the area also. So we're kind of thinking some of the stuff is kind of all interlaced or interconnected. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, strange you should say that. I had a really weird experience on a fishing trip, about 3, 4 weeks ago. It was absolutely just mind blowing. I had things walking in the stream about 3:30 in the morning and making like a clunging, like clung, clung, like heavy footsteps just walking in the stream about 20 yards from me tent. I've had them throwing rocks at me tent and hitting the poles at night time. Ting, ting, trying to get me attention. I'm trying to wake my friend up. Can you hear that? He said, I'm going to sleep. He wasn't interested. So that just leaves me and my mind playing tricks. Yeah. And I was lying there trying to ignore it and knowing damn well it was trying to get me attention. And at the time, I was trying to control my emotions and I couldn't get the better of them, so I wasn't getting out the tent. Excuse me. But I was lying in the tent and I haven't got a clue that if I tapped into the energy of the area or it projected something into my mind, but I was getting these tablets with these petroglyph writing and symbols just flying around my head. Every time I closed my eyes, I had them floating in my peripheral again and again, just extreme red lights all around, showing me all these like little 2D Chinese hats in like little symmetrical. It was just mind-boggling. Every time I opened my eyes, it would totally go. I'd close my eyes, and it'd come flooding in again from all angles. It was unbelievable. And after I had that encounter, whatever you want to call it, I've been seeing white little lights in pairs shooting from right to left while I'm in the house. And I'm also getting long black shadows in pairs shooting from right to left. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But whatever it was took an interest in me, grabbed me frequency, and quite possibly started projecting stuff into my mind. I'm not too sure, but I was just overwhelmed. It was beautiful.
Did you happen to like sketch some of it down? You know, like if you close
Yes, I
your
did.
eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yes.
I know you're familiar with the Rendlesham Forest incident or
Yeah.
or Bentwaters. I spoke with one of the retired staff sergeant Jim Peniston that was there during the big event in I think 1980, and he reported something very similar after they wound up seeing a craft that landed inside the military base. So he actually was close enough to it. He approached it, he touched it, and he was like downloaded with uh, certain images, and he was seeing maybe binary code. There's lots of zeros and ones, but he also saw some of the hieroglyphs and the petroglyphs, or what he assumed were petroglyphs. And it's kind of interesting you say that, because a lot of people that have these encounters tend to see some like old ancient writing, maybe even some resemble Sumerian text or in ancient scrolls. But um, it's kind of odd that most people will talk about exactly those kind of hieroglyphs.
Yeah. It's extremely strange how all these people all around the world experience similar things on this level. Um, I'm not sure. Interestingly, the next morning, as we was tidying up and making sure all the rubbish was okay, the actual lady who turns up and opens all the gates and closes them at night time, I just went straight to her and asked her straight, have you heard any strange things happening in the area? She said, what type of strange things? I said, any big black dogs walking about? She says, you need to speak to the owner. I was like, huh? Really? she said, I can't say too much. You need to speak to the owner. I was like, fantastic. So she asked me what happened, and I told her originally, me and my friend was watching a set of eyes about 300 yards, 250 yards away, just travelling from right to left. It was quite high off the ground, not as high as the cars passing on the road behind, but it was sharp, small, orangey white lights, round ones, and they were really wide apart, to be fair. Yes, so what I was talking about, it's just totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what did they think or what do you think the eyes were?
Well,
Or were they maybe two orbs close together moving, or was it part of an entity with eye shine?
well, whatever it was, it annoyed all the dogs in the areas on the farm all through the night, over the couple of hours. It just, all the dogs were just erratically kicking off. Of 20 minutes, another one about half a mile away in a line, and then another one again. I was like, oh, whatever that was, it's now annoying the local animals. And it had to have been the same thing that targeted me. It had to have been. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. I mean, mum's just walked in the house and shouted, would you like a cup of tea? And I just lost my trail of thought. Yes, so this lady, once I was telling her about this eye shine, whatever it was moving right to left. She said, over there is sacred ground, and nobody owns that ground. I was like, where? And she pointed exactly the spot where me and Mark seen these eyes. And she said, you need to speak to the landowner. If you're interested in this type of thing, you really need to speak to him. So I'm returning on the 12th. I'm having a 24-hour pitch, and I'm on my own this time, and I'm in exact same area. So let's have a look what happens.
Well, yeah, man. You'll definitely have to come back on and tell us what you find, and make sure you take any pictures, video, or any audio if you hear anything, for sure.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome. I wish I were close by. I would go with you.
I wish anyone had come with me.
Well, typically, a lot of times, people that go to these places or go alone, period, they tend to have more uh, incidences or encounters. And some would say, well, they're by themselves, they can fake or say anything, but it's kind of like you get targeted if you're by yourself a little bit. It's like you're more open, and it's like things want to show themselves or reveal themselves to you if you are alone. So I guess you need to be open to that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, everyone resonates on their own frequencies, and they're all giving off all different vibrations. My friend Mark had a terrible encounter, exactly the same place where I had the incident with all the petroglyphs, but his encounter was totally the opposite. He was terrified. He sprinted off at 3 o'clock in the morning, just randomly just sprinted off in a flat out panic and slept in his car. So the same area and the same entity, I don't know what it is at the moment, targeted me, and I had the opposite experience to Mark. So
yeah, that's very
Mark, Mark was in the army, and I've just recently found out that he was in the army, and he's seen and gone through some terrible things, and I was unaware of this, and quite possibly whatever it was tuned into his frequency and picked up on all these vibrations and repelled him instantly. I'm not sure, I'm just surmising, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you and I talked about that the other night and earlier tonight, that you can sense it, in someone who's going through something, or they're having a rough day at work or whatever. You can sense it, and things around you will react to that, either negative or positive. So yeah, I think it's a real thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
We're all made of the same stuff, Paul, and it
but
all interact exactly the same way.
yeah, I think so. And uh, again, we were talking the other night. I think the sooner everyone realizes that we're all we're all the same, the better off this world will be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I thrive on the days where there's no passports, no countries, no different languages. Everyone's just all mixed up without any borders, and we can just live in this massive house, share it, and just help each other along their journeys.
Yeah, it sounds
That's
like
what we need for.
yeah, we do, and it sounds like a very simple concept, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
It
It does.
we're making it harder than it should be.
Well, is there too many people on the planet? I mean, everyone's running around in their own direction, screaming and shouting, just throwing energy away at will. Excuse me. I mean, you wake up Monday morning, you drive to work, you're tired when you get home, you haven't got enough energy to interact with the kids or your missus or anything, and then this goes on all week, all till Friday. You're exhausted. You get your money, straight to shop, you get your food, you restore your energy, and then you go around screaming and shouting and getting involved with other people's arguments. I mean, you wouldn't open your wallet and just start randomly throwing your cash out the window, would you? It's the same principle. It's just a form of energy. We need to clean up on our energy if we need to move onto the next stage.
Yeah. Hey, I totally agree. Well, man, I think I'm gonna wrap it up, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. It's great to meet you and great to have you on, and I definitely want to have you back on for round two, especially after you go out, on your solo investigation on the 12th. So
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that because, like I said, I think things tend to happen a lot when people are alone. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's my friend told me.
all
It's,
right,
I mean, I'm in with animals. I love me animals, and I love like everybody really. I'm just happy all the time, just having a laugh, and um, uh, and I can't hurt the fish. I can't do it. And my friend said, you can't camp here at the lake unless you have got a rod in the water. People won't like it. They won't understand. I was like, yeah, I understand. So I'm just releasing a rod with all the bait on it without a hook. I'm just leaving the alarm on. And when I hear the alarm, I count it and as a catch.
yeah,
So it doesn't hurt the fish.
yep,
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we could all learn a lesson from that. But again, thank you so much for coming on, and I look forward to hearing more on your research as you keep moving forward with it. And I think that'll wrap it up. And if you ever need anything, give me a shout. You've got my contact information, and I think that'll just about do it, man. And thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure, Paul. Thank
Yeah,
you, my friend.
yeah, same here. And really, just anytime you need something, or if you have any questions about anything, or if you want to just share something new, for sure, reach out to me.
I'll send you a couple of pictures over of little Scrappy if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do. And with your permission, I'll put it on the site sometime, and we can show the audience. So they love to see it. They love any pictures having to do with it. So, but yeah, thanks, man, and have a great one. And we will talk to you soon.
Okay, my mate. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Bye, mate.